Michael sat on the couch, his tie loosened after another long day at work, his eyes fixed on the muted television, but his thoughts elsewhere. Clara was at the dining table, scrolling through her phone with a blank face. Her silence had become familiar in recent weeks. The old laughter that used to fill their home had vanished like smoke. "Dinner smells good tonight," Michael said, trying to sound cheerful. "What did you make?" Clara didn't look up. "Stew and rice," she replied simply. "I added extra pepper the way you like it." Michael smiled faintly. "Perfect. I've missed your cooking lately. You've been distracted." Her fingers stopped moving on the phone screen. She exhaled slowly, not meeting his eyes. "Work has been stressful. Clients keep calling even at night." He studied her for a moment. Her skin looked pale under the light. The woman who once filled their house with laughter now moved like someone carrying an invisible weight. "I know," he said softly, "but I hope you still remember us. Me and the kids." She looked up sharply. "Don't start, Michael. I'm trying my best." He raised his hand slightly. "I'm not blaming you. I just miss the old days. The kids miss you too." Before she could reply, small footsteps echoed down the hallway. Their children, Emma, 6, and Daniel, 9, burst into the living room giggling. Emma held up a shiny pair of shoes. "Daddy, Mommy bought us new shoes today," she said, her eyes bright. Michael smiled and took the shoes from her. "Wow, these are beautiful. Thank you, Clara, but you didn't tell me you went shopping." Clara's expression stiffened. "It was just something small. Don't make a big deal out of it." Her tone was sharp, defensive. Michael frowned slightly, but said nothing more. The air between them turned heavy again. After dinner, the children went to bed, and the house grew quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Michael sat at the dining table with his laptop open, pretending to work. Clara was beside him, tapping at her phone, completely absorbed. He glanced at her. The faint light from her phone reflected in her eyes, making her face look strangely cold. "Who are you chatting with?" he asked casually. "Just work," she replied quickly. "A client who keeps changing his order." Michael nodded, but a small voice inside him whispered that she was lying. He brushed it aside, not wanting to believe it. Later that night, Clara showered. Michael sat on the edge of the bed, running his hands through his hair. Something had been bothering him for weeks. The sudden wealth, the mysterious gifts that kept arriving, the strange phone calls she would take in the kitchen when she thought no one was listening. When he stood to adjust the window curtain, Clara's phone buzzed on the table. A message flashed across the screen. "Remember, the sacrifice must be pure. You have 3 days left." Michael froze. His pulse quickened. His first instinct was disbelief. Maybe it was a prank message. But curiosity won. He picked up the phone and scrolled up. There were more messages, all from a saved contact named Auntie Rose. "Do not delay, or the money will vanish like smoke. The blood of love brings the richest wealth." Michael felt his stomach tighten. The words made no sense, and yet they carried something dark, something ancient. He read the last one again, his hand trembling. 3 days left. He dropped the phone back on the table just as the bathroom door opened. Clara stepped out, wrapped in a white towel, her hair damp and clinging to her shoulders. "You're still awake?" she asked, drying her face. "Yeah," he said, forcing a smile. "Just couldn't sleep." "You worry too much," she said softly, walking toward him. She leaned close and kissed his cheek. Her skin was cold, almost chilling. As she turned away, Michael noticed something red on her wrist. "What's that?" She froze for a second, then covered it with her hand. "Nothing. Just a charm for protection." Protection from what? He asked gently. She met his eyes briefly. From bad luck. Auntie Rose gave it to me. He frowned. Auntie Rose? Is she a new client? You ask too many questions, Michael, she said flatly. You'll only make things worse. Before he could respond, she turned off the light and lay down on the bed, turning her back to him. Michael lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling. The red charm glowed faintly under the moonlight. A sense of unease crawled through him like a slow-moving shadow. The next morning began with an uneasy silence. Clara dressed quickly and packed her handbag. Are you going out again today? Daniel asked, half asleep, his voice small. Yes, sweetheart, she said, forcing a smile. I have a meeting. Can we come? Emma asked, clutching her mother's dress. Not today, Clara said gently. Mommy will be back soon. Michael appeared by the doorway, watching her. Where's this meeting again? Downtown, she answered, avoiding his gaze. You've been saying that all week, he said, his voice low. Clara paused at the door, then turned with a faint, distant smile. You'll understand soon. And with that, she left. Michael stood there for several minutes after the door closed, a strange dread tightening in his chest. Then he took his car keys and followed her. He kept a safe distance as she drove out of town. The traffic thinned, the roads grew rougher, and soon they were at the edge of the city. A lonely industrial area filled with half-abandoned buildings. Finally, Clara turned off the main road and parked beside an old warehouse. Michael's heartbeat quickened. He stopped a few meters away, watching as she stepped out, carrying a small basket covered with white cloth. Two men met her at the gate, one of them wearing a deep red robe that fluttered in the wind. They exchanged brief words, then disappeared inside. Michael's palms were sweaty as he crept closer, his heart thudding. He found a cracked window at the side of the warehouse and peered inside. The place was dimly lit with candles arranged in a circle. A woman stood at the center, tall, dark-skinned, and commanding. Her voice carried through the room. The time is near, Clara. You must choose whom to give, the woman said. Clara's voice trembled. No, please, I've given enough. You crave more wealth, do you not? The woman asked sharply. Then one more sacrifice will open the door forever. I can't, not my family, Clara cried, her voice breaking. Then you will lose everything, the woman warned coldly. Clara covered her face and sobbed. Outside, Michael's breath caught in his throat. He felt the world tilt beneath him. His wife, his Clara. What was happening? He stepped back, and his phone slipped from his trembling hand, hitting the ground with a soft clack. Inside, the woman's head turned sharply. Someone's here, she hissed. Michael froze. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Then the candles flickered violently, as though a wind had entered the room. And in that eerie moment of silence, he knew his life was about to change forever. When Michael opened his eyes, his vision blurred. The world around him spun like a slow carousel. A cool breeze brushed his face, carrying the faint scent of candle wax and dust. He was outside, lying behind the warehouse, the night sky stretching endlessly above him. He sat up slowly, wincing at the throbbing pain in his head. His phone lay a few steps away, screen cracked, still faintly glowing. He grabbed it and checked the time. 11:47 p.m. The warehouse was silent now. The doors were open, the candles gone, and the two men had vanished. Only faint footprints remained on the dusty ground. Michael swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. What was that place? He whispered to himself. What is Clara doing there? He forced himself up, staggering toward his car. His hands shook as he gripped the steering wheel. The entire drive home felt unreal, as though he was watching himself from a distance, trapped in a nightmare he couldn't wake from. When he pulled into the compound, he noticed Clara's car already parked in its usual spot. The house lights were on. His heart sank deeper. Inside, Clara sat on the couch, still in the same outfit. She was scrolling through her phone, her expression unreadable. The television flickered quietly, playing a late-night drama. When she looked up and saw him, she smiled faintly. "You're home late?" Michael's voice came out rough. "So are you." She tilted her head slightly. "Where were you?" "Work," he lied, his heart racing. "You?" "Work," she echoed. "Long day. I thought you'd be asleep by now." He walked toward her, studying her face. "Clara," he said quietly, "where exactly were you tonight?" She blinked slowly. "I told you. Work." He clenched his fists. "Stop lying to me. I followed you." The words hung in the air like thunder. Her smile faded. "You what?" "I saw you," he continued, his voice trembling with anger and disbelief. "I saw everything. The warehouse. The woman. The candles. What are you doing with her?" Clara's hands began to shake. Her phone slipped slightly in her grip before she set it down on the table. "You shouldn't have followed me, Michael." He stepped closer, his eyes burning. "Then tell me the truth. Who is she? What does she mean by sacrifice?" Clara looked away. "You don't understand. Everything I've done, it was for this family." Michael let out a bitter laugh. "For this family? You're meeting some witch in a warehouse talking about blood and wealth. How is that for this family?" Clara's voice cracked as she spoke. "We were drowning, Michael. You think I didn't notice how tired you were? How we could barely afford school fees? The hospital bills? The rent? I wanted to help. I wanted to lift us out of that misery." He stared at her in disbelief. "By turning to rituals? By endangering us?" Tears filled her eyes. "At first, I thought it was harmless. She said it was just prayers, a cleansing. She called it a blessing ceremony. She told me to bring small things. A lock of hair, a piece of cloth, a drop of blood from my finger. I thought it was symbolic." Michael's voice softened, trembling. "And then?" Clara sank into the couch, burying her face in her palms. Then she asked for more. She said the spirits wanted something precious, something alive. I refused, but she said once the bond is made, there's no going back. Michael took a step back, horror filling his face. "What bond?" Clara looked up slowly, her eyes red. "The bond of wealth. I didn't know it was blood money, Michael. I didn't know." He covered his mouth, pacing the room. "God, Clara, what have you gotten us into?" "I was desperate," she whispered. "When the money started coming in, I thought maybe it was just coincidence. But she told me it was the spirits rewarding obedience. And I believed her." Michael turned sharply. "And now? What does she want now?" Clara hesitated. Her voice came out small. "She said one last offering would seal the wealth forever." His heart stopped. "An offering?" She nodded, tears rolling down her face. "She said it had to be someone I love." Michael's entire body went cold. "Someone you love? Clara? You're not saying—" "I would never," she cried, interrupting him. "I could never hurt you or the kids. That's why I went there tonight. To tell her I'm done." Michael stood frozen, his mind spinning. "And what did she say?" "She said I can't stop. That if I refuse, everything will crumble. Our wealth, our home, even our children's lives. She said the spirit already knows their names." Michael's voice rose in panic. "Then we're leaving. Tonight. We'll take the kids and go far away. Clara's head moved side to side. You don't understand. You can't run from her. She knows where I am. Always. She appears in dreams and reflections. She's not human, Michael. Enough, he snapped. Pack a few things. We'll leave before dawn. But Clara didn't move. She won't let us go, she whispered. At that moment, the house lights flickered. Once, twice. Then everything went black. Michael, Clara whispered, did you turn off the generator? No, he said, voice tight. Stay here. He grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight, moving carefully toward the window. The compound outside was eerily silent. The gate stood slightly open, swaying in the wind. Then came the sound. Soft footsteps from the hallway. Michael? Clara's voice trembled. He turned the flashlight. Stay where you are, he whispered. But before he could take another step, Clara screamed. Michael spun around, and his heart stopped. A tall, shadowy figure stood in the middle of the living room. A red robe fluttered lightly around her, though no wind blew. Her eyes glowed faintly gold in the darkness. Good evening, Clara, the voice said. Smooth, calm, deadly. Did you think you could hide? Clara fell to her knees instantly, trembling. Please, Auntie Rose, don't hurt them. Take me instead. Michael stepped forward, his light shining directly at the figure. Get out of my house. Auntie Rose smiled faintly. You shouldn't raise your voice to what you don't understand. Whatever you are, Michael shouted, leave my family alone. Her smile widened, eyes fixed on Clara. The spirit is hungry. It will not wait much longer. The blood of love must flow. Michael moved closer, shielding Clara behind him. If you want blood, take mine. Auntie Rose tilted her head, her voice almost playful. That's exactly the plan. Before Michael could react, the room exploded with a sudden gust of cold wind. The candles from nowhere lit up in a red glow, papers flew into the air, and the air thickened with the smell of burning incense. The children screamed upstairs. Daddy! Mommy! Michael turned toward the staircase, but when he looked back, Auntie Rose was gone. The lights flickered twice and returned. The room was empty. Clara sat on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. It's over, she whispered. She's coming for us. Michael knelt beside her, holding her face in his hands. No, we'll fight this. Do you hear me? Whatever it takes. She looked into his eyes, shaking her head slowly. You don't understand, Michael. You can't fight what's already inside your home. Morning arrived like a ghost that didn't belong there. The sunlight felt cold, distant, almost out of place in the house that had once been full of laughter and morning chatter. Now, silence clung to the air like thick smoke. The children sat at the dining table, quiet and uneasy. Emma kept tracing circles on the wooden surface with her small finger, while Daniel stared out the window, clutching his toy truck tightly. Michael poured tea into a cup but didn't drink. His hands trembled slightly as the liquid rippled. His eyes were tired, bloodshot from a night without sleep. We're leaving today, he said finally, breaking the heavy silence. I've already called a friend in Ibadan. We'll stay there until we figure out what's going on. Clara didn't respond. She sat opposite him, still wearing the same house robe from the night before. Her face looked drained, pale, as if the color had been washed out of her completely. Clara, Michael said again, his voice firm but gentle. We can't stay here. That woman could come back anytime. Clara lifted her head slowly, her eyes empty. She won't come back, she said softly. Michael frowned. How do you know that? Her lips quivered before the words came. Because she already got what she wanted. He stared at her, confusion mixing with fear. What do you mean she got what she wanted? She took something, Clara whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. When she vanished last night, I felt it, like a part of me was gone. Michael leaned closer, his voice shaking. You're not making sense. Took what, Clara? My life, she said in a broken whisper. Piece by piece. He froze. Stop talking like that. We're going to get help. You're just tired. But Clara didn't answer. Her gaze had drifted somewhere far away, as if she was staring through him into something invisible. That afternoon, as they packed their bags, a sharp knock echoed at the door. Michael's pulse jumped. He opened it cautiously to find a young man in a postal uniform standing on the porch, holding a small brown envelope. Delivery for Mrs. Clara Okafor, the man said with a polite smile. Michael frowned. From who? No sender's name, sir. Just needs a signature. Michael hesitated, then signed the slip and accepted the envelope. The man turned and walked away without another word. When Michael shut the door, Clara was already standing there, staring at the envelope like she recognized it. Who sent that? She asked quietly. I don't know, Michael said, handing it to her. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single folded paper and an old brass key, small enough to fit in her palm. The note was handwritten, the ink dark and deliberate. Every gift comes with a door. Open it before midnight or everything you love will be taken. Clara's hands shook violently. It's her, she whispered. Auntie Rose. She's giving me a choice. Michael grabbed the note, his anger flaring. A choice? This is manipulation. She wants you to fall into another trap. Clara backed away, clutching the key to her chest. You don't understand. If I ignore her, the spirit will take the children. He stepped forward, his tone sharp. Clara, stop letting her control you. She's just playing with your mind. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You don't understand how deep this is, Michael. Once you open the door, you can't close it. Once you take from them, they own a part of you. Michael's voice softened. Then tell me, Clara. Tell me everything. What exactly did you promise her? She stared at the floor, her breathing uneven. When I first met Auntie Rose, she said she was a spiritual helper. She told me my suffering was not ordinary, that someone had cursed my success. She offered to cleanse me. She asked for small sacrifices at first. Food, animals, drops of blood. Michael nodded slowly, urging her on. Then she said I needed to give her something dear. Clara continued, her voice trembling. A personal object from each family member. A shirt from Daniel, a hair ribbon from Emma, and your wristwatch. Michael's mouth fell open. My wristwatch? The one my late father gave me? She nodded, sobbing. She said those things would be blessed and returned. I didn't know she was binding us. Michael ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room. And when did she ask for blood? The night before my first business deal succeeded, Clara whispered. She said wealth doesn't come free. That I had to show gratitude to the spirit. I thought she meant prayer or fasting. I didn't realize she meant... She couldn't finish. Michael looked at her in disbelief. And now? What does this key mean? She told me the final ritual happens when the key finds the right door. Clara said, if I don't open it by midnight, the spirit will collect everything, including the children. Michael's voice cracked. You're not going anywhere near that door. I have to, she said firmly. It's the only way to save them. He grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me, Clara. This is madness. We'll leave now, right now. But before he could move, the house lights flickered again. A low, humming sound filled the air, deep and rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing through the walls. Emma screamed from upstairs. "Daddy!" Both parents ran to the staircase. Daniel stood at the top, pointing toward their room. "Mommy, there's light in the wall." They rushed into the children's bedroom and froze. On the wall opposite the bed, faint red symbols glowed, forming a door-shaped outline. The key in Clara's hand began to vibrate. "It's calling me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Don't," Michael said firmly. "Don't open it." But the glow intensified, and the floor trembled slightly under their feet. The children clung to Michael, crying. Clara stepped forward slowly. "If I don't, it will take them. I can feel it." Michael reached out. "Clara, please, there's another way." She looked back at him, eyes wet with tears, but filled with quiet resolve. "If I open it, maybe I can stop it. Maybe it will take me instead." Clara. Before he could finish, she inserted the key into the glowing outline. A sharp click echoed through the room. The wall split open like a curtain of smoke. Behind it was not darkness, but a blinding red light. And within that light stood Auntie Rose, smiling. "You came," the woman said softly. Clara stepped forward. "Let them go. You've had enough." The woman tilted her head. "Every agreement has a balance. You took. Now you must give." "I'll give myself," Clara said, her voice breaking. "Take me." Michael pulled her back, shouting, "No, take me instead." Auntie Rose's smile widened. "Love is always the sweetest blood. The spirit accepts your offer. Clara." "No," Michael yelled, pushing her behind him. "She said my name." The woman laughed. "Oh, Michael, you never realized, did you? You were the offering from the beginning." Michael froze. "What?" Clara gasped, her eyes wide. "No. No, that can't be." "The ritual was completed the moment she tied her life to yours," Auntie Rose said. "Your success, your peace, your joy. She offered it all long ago. The spirit only waited for the day you'd find out." Michael stumbled backward, shaking his head. "You're lying." "Look at her," Auntie Rose said, pointing. Clara's skin was growing paler by the second, her veins faintly glowing red. "Michael, I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't." He caught her as she collapsed into his arms. "Clara, stay with me," Auntie Rose's voice echoed. "The door closes now. The sacrifice is fulfilled." The red light flared, blinding them. The room shook violently. The children screamed. And then, silence. When Michael opened his eyes again, the room was empty. The strange glow was gone. The wall was whole. The children lay beside him, unharmed but unconscious. Clara was gone. Only her wedding ring remained on the floor, still warm to the touch. Days later, Michael found a video on Clara's phone. The file name simply read, "Forgive me." Her tired face filled the screen, eyes swollen from crying. "If you're watching this, Michael, it means the door has closed," she said softly. "I wanted to give us a better life. I didn't know the price would be me. Please take care of our children. Don't hate me. I gave myself so they could live free." Tears blurred Michael's vision as the video ended. He looked toward the children sleeping peacefully on the couch. Outside, the morning light streamed through the window, brighter than it had been in weeks. The air felt calm again, as if the curse had lifted. But every now and then, when the wind blew gently through the curtains, Michael swore he could hear her voice, soft and tender, whispering the words that would haunt him forever. Every gift comes with a door.